video is to show the installation steps to mount and install the G2000 Fertigation System. First thing you're going to do is to mount the controller on the wall, and eye level is a good level, and you've got 4 corner screws, and you just mount it on the wall like that. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to put the pump on the ground in the area so you have good light. You're going to put the oil in. It's 1.5 quarts of this special synthetic marine oil, and some marine oil that if the diaphragm fails it won't corrode the internal parts of the pump. Fill to this level, and when you're finished you can put the cap back on. Okay. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to mount the motor on the pump. The motor has a spider coupling that fits inside into special connections in the motor, shaft to shaft. Get your holes lined up, and you put your 4 bolts in and tighten them down, and you're all set. The next thing you're going to do is install the cable from the controller to the motor. It's a DC motor, so these are DC wires, and you connect red to red, black to black with wire nuts, and the ground goes in the upper corner, and it's put in with a little screw. Once you're finished, you tuck them in and you close up your cover, and you're all set. The next thing we're going to do is put the pump up against the wall, and we like to put a 1x4 along the wall so the hose is not sitting on the concrete, and you can tie it down with conduit tie downs and so forth. Okay. Next thing you're going to do is install the discharge line. The discharge line is a special push lock hose, and it connects to the barb, the hose barb, a special way so that it will not need a clamp. And you put thread sealer to lubricate the barb and in the hose, and you push it on all the way until it hits the blue connector. And you do it for each side, and you'll be all set. Okay. The next thing you're going to do is to run your suction lines from the tank to your pump. This is the same type of a push lock fitting. You put the lubricant on and slide it on your hose barb all the way, both sides, and as you can see, it tracks good, and you can use wire ties and clamps to tie it down to make it look real good. That way the hoses and the connections don't sit on the ground and get worn and leak. The next thing you're going to do is connect your flow sensor connections, and you'll have a conduit that will run from the controller to your flow sensor, and it'll have a cable, and each flow sensor is different, so to consult your manual and drawings for that. But you normally would do, like for that industrial, it'd be red to red, black to black, and your white would be the shield, which would go to your sensor. The different mass meters or other meters are different, so consult that. But that's basically what you do. While we have this display up, I'm going to show you the different components. This is the SCR drive, the DC drive. This is the analog converter, which takes the flow sensor pulse and converts it from a pulse to a voltage that controls the SCR. The SCR then sends the converted AC into DC voltage out to your motor. This is an optical isolator that protects the interface of the flow sensor with your existing flow sensor on your pump station. But this is basically it. And this is a speed control that only adjusts the motor when it's in the manual mode. But that's the components for this, and you're all set. Ready? The next thing you're going to do is put the injection lance in line, in the irrigation line. This is a lance for each of the heads. The 2000 comes with 2 of them. This is the lance that goes in the pipe, keeps it off the wall of the pipe, isolation valve, the check valve, back pressure valve, and this is a union disconnect that you can disconnect the hose without cutting it. So this is what you're going to put in the pipe. Okay. The way you can install the injection lance in the pipe is you're going to use the drill and tap that we supply, drill the hole into your pipe. Use a 1/4 inch as a pilot hole first so that you're not using the full size 7/16. Drill it, then you tap it, and you don't tap it all the way to the bottom. You leave almost about a 1/2 inch out because it's a tapered thread. Cut. Finished, it should look like this. The 2 injection lances in line You'll need to put them about 10 inches apart so you can turn them. Once they're installed, put your hoses on and hold the back of the injection lance when you're pushing your hose on so you don't bend it here. And once it's installed with your hoses, you can put the hoses together with wire ties and run them along the pipe to where you want to be. Last thing you're going to do is connect your suction lines to the tanks. This is a suction manifold, and these two lines here, this one and this one, go to each of the pump heads. This third line is a line that you can use to flush out the pump head or use to inject a third product, a wetting agent or something from a drum. Then your two main lines go here, and they'll have Y strainers in them between this and the tank. You use hose clamps on these hoses, the red hoses. These don't use the hose clamps because they're push lock, but the red hose needs the clamps, which we supply. This is what a G2000 should look like when it's finished. I would put a power junction box here for your power cord. You have it mounted on the wall cleanly. You have the cable and conduit going to your motor. You have your cable and conduit going to your flow sensor. And as you look at your pump and motor, you'll see that the hoses are run nicely. It's sitting on the floor nice and clean. It's all set. I would put a couple of bleed containers here to catch your bleed liquids as you bleed them. And you have your board with the conduit and your flow sensor hoses and your hoses and everything there. You're all set, ready to go. Now, once everything is all set and you're all cooked up, you'll need to prime the pump. Get your liquid container so you don't run it on the floor. Prime it, and then turn the motor onto manual, and as it's running, you screw the stroke adjustment knob in and out about 3 or 4 times on each pump head, and that runs the air out of the passages. Then you're all set to start calculating your injection setting and run. Once you're primed, you should feel a hard pulse in the discharge hose. That'll tell you that it's moving product. That tells you that you're primed and you're moving product. And you're all set.